Once again, Metal for the Masses returning with the band Worldeater, the only place that plays it harder, faster, and louder than anyone else. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me here. Explain yourselves, and we're missing one member, but that's okay. I'm sure you guys can fill us in about him as well.
Yeah, man. My name is Alex. I'm the guitar and lead vocals for this band. We're Worldeater. We got Bugsy over here. Say hi, Bugsy.
What's up? I'm the bassist.
Hell yeah.
And we're missing Rex, our drummer. We had a late night last night and he had to do a little bit of work today. So yeah, we made it here. Rex gives his regards to everybody, says what's up. And about us, well, we are just a little band from South Florida, Worldeater. It's all one word. You can find us on every social media platform, all streaming platforms. Just put in Worldeater, all one word, and you'll see us. We got wolves. We got the heavy wolf theme in our visuals. So we started this band as far as like the concept. I guess it was July of 2001, and it began with our drummer, my friend Rex. He's actually got a degree in performance classical piano. So he asked me to play a birthday show where we just went out and I played, what's it called? The Grandpa's Guitars. We played the Grandpa's Guitars, acoustic. And he was on piano and we played some covers and just jammed out, with no real practice at a little folk and acoustic venue that is pretty well known in Miami called Luna Star Cafe. And that was a lot of fun. I kind of came out of retirement for that show. I hadn't really picked up the guitar in maybe like 5 or 6 years, more than just like a couple little doodles here and there. So I had a great time doing that. And then it was like, hey, Rex, why don't we play metal? And
just like that.
Yeah, just like that. He's like, I want to play something that I want to listen to. So he agreed. We were going to originally keep him on keys, but we were having issues with members. Drummers are hard to land, especially when we're kind of nobodies at the time. He eventually decided, because he had a little bit of jazz drumming background, that he'd give learning double bass a shot. He's doing pretty good at that. He's been doing it for about a year, and then we just auditioned a bunch of vocalists. I ended up doing the majority of the vocal work just because there isn't really anybody that could fit us. And then we auditioned 5 bass players. Bugsy was our 5th. He's an absolute gem. The dude is. I'm gonna pump your tires, Bugsy. Bugsy is definitely musically competent, and he knows more bands than anybody I've ever met. Because he's been a part of like literally every scene in the country, living in every one of the 50 states, including Alaska and Hawaii. And the only one that he really complains about is how there was no scene up north of the Arctic Circle in Alaska. So Bugsy's seen a lot of bands, and he's an absolute wealth of information when it comes to, all sorts of subgenres and like nerdy subgenres of like this suicidal, depressive, hipster black metal, or like this type of sludge, or these bands from Siberia that never play out. So it's been really good for my influences as well as Rex's influences. You can hear the diversity of our influences in our sound, especially on the record that's coming out now.
Yeah,
we got a record coming out soon. It's going to be out on Bandcamp on the 20th. And then we're going to be releasing on streaming platforms probably the following month, unless something changes. But we got 2 singles out now, and they've been well received so far. And that's basically who we are. We played our first show in April. We've seemed to catch a little traction in our first year. We're incredibly grateful for the people that are supporting our band, and we're thrilled to be able to have this opportunity. So.
Hell yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
1 second here, guys. Okay. So that echo. Taking a quick pause right there. I was about to pause the interview and see where that echo was coming from. It is coming from your end, Shama. So I'm going to when we're talking, just keep yourself muted. That way there's not this terrible echo that's going back and forth between us. But I'll edit that part out. But cool. Yeah, that's Bugsy, man. I didn't know you were versed in all 50 states, man. What was I mean, obviously complaining about the scene in Alaska. What was your favorite state to go to?
Honestly, Arizona has been the best as far as the metal scene
Really?
goes. I lived in Phoenix. I think we lived there a year and a half. Um, my
What's like
wife and I,
what's like
what's
the
that?
prevailing, I'm sorry to interrupt you. What's like the prevailing sound out there in Arizona?
Well, at that time, I was huge into sludge metal and doom metal. So I was going to a lot of doom and sludge shows out there
Nice.
that were just underground local bands. So, I mean, I got to see like Monolord came. I saw them in a small club that holds maybe 100 people at the most. I saw what's another band, Wizard Rifle. I don't know if anyone's familiar with them. They're like a noise metal band. I saw them same club, and that was just the best overall scene I've been to. California was pretty good, but I liked Arizona the
I
best.
would I would hope California is pretty good. I feel like that's where a lot of the scene is out there these days, but that's really fucking awesome, man. And obviously we're missing Rex. We miss him. We wish he could be here. I know the struggle of having to work on Saturdays. It is okay. Saturday being the day of this recording. But that's awesome, guys. I'm so happy that you guys could be here and join me. Always humbled to sit down and talk to any band that wants to give me the time of day. And I'm always here to give any band the time of day. You guys in particular, you guys for being around, I want to say in the past 2 years, you guys seem to be gaining a lot of traction from what I can see. I just saw last week you guys won an award for best metal band in Miami, correct?
Correct.
In
Florida in
Miami.
general.
No, well, that was a award put on by a promoter from Miami. So
Okay.
it was the award ceremony was in downtown Miami. So yeah. So
That's
either
fucking
way,
awesome.
yeah, we got that. We're grateful for everybody that voted for us. We weren't expecting it, it's been moving pretty quick, and we have to kind of like acclimate. I'm still starstruck when I meet guys. Like when we first met our producer Derek and our buddy Gus Rios, it's like, oh my god, I'm like in a room with Derek Roddy, and I'm still asking him to. I asked him to bring me guitar picks from the guys in Anthrax and Zach Wild when he went in and filled in on drums for them last week. So hopefully he remembered.
Yeah. It reminds that same kind of like starstruck, like, oh my God, I'm in the same room as this guy, is kind of like the same kind of feeling that I would get like whenever I was like on my college radio station. I was like the rock director for that shit. And I would sit and every day I'd have to do like the charting for what we were playing. And I'd have to sit and talk to I don't know if you guys know who Munzi Ricci is from New York. He's like one of these huge like guys that's like known every single band that's come through over like the past 30, 40 plus years. Like he was friends with like Lemmy Kilmister and like all these other kind of guys. Huge guy. I know
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of starstruck feeling. It's dope. But yeah, you guys gaining a lot of traction. You got that award for best metal band in Miami. That's fucking huge props to you guys. Absolutely amazing. You guys are gaining a lot of traction with your music. People are loving you guys so far. I'm super excited to see what you guys come out with next. Tainted Pit, the track you guys have out right now, fucking amazing. It's you guys seem to be onto getting the perfect formula together. It's not there yet, but you guys seem to be on the right track. Would you kind of agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This record, we composed it within a short period of time. We had it completed, within a year of being a band since our first show. And yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was a good first record, but we're not there yet. We are on our way, and it's developing. And Derek told me something not too long ago. He said that you can't just play the game. You know, everybody's out there playing the game, and the bar in music is set so unbelievably high. You know, like we're going up against our competition is like Slipknot,
Yeah.
and you know, Metallica, like really, really good, well-established bands. Even like Insomnium, just something that is super sweet like that, or hopefully Black Dahlia comes back. You know, because I'm a big Brandon Ellis fan. Some amazing, like Scott Carstairs for Fallujah is just phenomenal guitar player. You know, so we've got a very competitive, very high level. You know, it's cutthroat out there. But what Derek said is you can't just play the game; you have to change it somehow.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Cause like you're saying, like, you know, you guys are up against guys like Slipknot, Black Dahlia Murder, and, you know, so on and so forth. And that's just because like, even when like, you know, you go up and you're like, yo, you guys need to go check this band out. Well, somebody's gonna be like, well, what do they sound like? And you gotta be like, some people be like, oh, they sound like, you know, so and so and so and so. So if you like these two bands, like, you know, you should definitely check these guys out. Like, I was cruising in Instagram a couple days ago, and I actually got turned on to another band that that I really like. They got this really like cool kind of sort of like Nordic, like Viking, but like stoner Viking kind of sound. Like it's like super chill, but it's very Viking themed. It's something I never thought I'd hear go together or be into. But I found them through just cruising through this other band's page, and they described it as it's Iron Maiden and Candlemass. And if you like those two, this is it. And I'm like, that's interesting. But
Right on.
it's you got to kind of use bands that people already know to describe newer music. And if you're off in any kind of way, somebody's going to be like, oh, this isn't the same thing as this, and turn them off. And I wholeheartedly, it's so hard for bands to gain a footing because they're up against, you know, if they're not Metallica, why is anybody going to go listen to them? You know, that's the biggest fucking fight that the underground scene has, is there's all these guys. Like, I feel terrible that Ozzy Osbourne had to retire from touring, but at the same time, I'm grateful because that clears up more space for, you know, the next generation to kind of start gaining a foothold and getting in there. You know, these old bands, these guys that have pioneered the scene since like the 80s or the 60s or so, this is great stuff. But, you know, if this is who you're up against because nobody wants to retire, it makes it very difficult for for not just you guys, but any band to just kind of gain a foothold in the scene.
Yeah,
That is true.
That is true. Let's see. So, you know, we before the show, we were talking about how being phenomenally good is just the starting point.
Yeah.
When there are a lot of bands who are good, and there are a lot of bands that are great, but how many bands have you seen that you've never heard of before where they just blew you away live and you're like, how do I get on that waiting list? What the fuck did I just sit through? You know, this was an incredible experience. You know, the first I don't really know who our 4 fans of would be. I know that we kind of have a little bit of Black Anvil. We have a little bit of Black and Roll in there.
We got like Doom, Sludge, black metal, death metal, everything just in one.
You guys really hit like a wide range of sounds. And this is, you know, you guys coming from like different, you know, paths in the music scene. Like,
Right.
Shama, you talking about how Bugsy, even like, you know, being all around, being in all these different scenes, was like, you know, he'd have stuff that like, you know, would affect your, you know, musical knowledge, that maybe giving you a different point of view. You know, that's the perfect kind of thing. If you all came into this band and you only knew, you know, one thing, you guys were all the same fans of the one thing, you would just be that one thing. There'd be nothing new or experimental with the sounds that you guys are doing.
Yeah.
With what you guys are into and your different influences and like, you know, the sounds that you guys like to listen to, that you guys like to use and put into this thing called Worldeater, you guys are hitting such a wide net of of fans. And I don't want to say you guys are doing it in the, I don't want to like blow you guys, like inflate your heads with when I say this, but it's like, you guys are doing it in such a right way. You know, it's not too much. It doesn't feel like it's too little. It feels like it's right where it needs to be. I'm sorry, I'm using my hands a lot here. It's like, it's right where it needs to be. And it really, you know, when I said in the beginning, you guys haven't hit that perfect spot yet, but you guys are on the right path to it. You know, you guys are doing at least me, and don't take it, you know, the end all be all. I say all the time jokingly, I'm just some prick on the internet. You know, it's, from my point of view, I feel like you guys are on the right path. I feel like you guys have got a very unique sound going on here with Worldeater. I feel like what you guys have put out so far with this upcoming album, because a lot of bands that I feel like a big criticism that I have of bands is they give up the best part of the album before the album actually drops. And then you're almost like kind of disappointed. I really feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, absolutely can correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the 2 tracks have been really great, but they have me wanting more. You know, they have me wanting to see what the rest of this album can produce. It doesn't feel like I've listened to the best song on the album, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't an accident, first of all. And it also wasn't like I can't like take credit for that. And just to backtrack a little bit, we know where we are. We're confident in our abilities, but we know exactly where we are. We're a little band, man. We don't have massive egos. We don't think that we're anything more or less than what we are. And it's been a great journey. And we're not trying to like, you know, they voted us best band in Miami or Florida or whatever, but there are really good bands down here. There are plenty of bands that could have won that. You know, we played with these guys. Iris won last night, and they have this one song that's been stuck in my head forever. And our friends in Snake Healer, man, Jazz is awesome. He just got signed to a label in Italy, and he's from South Florida. And you guys should definitely check out Snake Healer. They might have taken down his EP. He's got this one song called In His Name, and they're like doom church music.
Yep. I play Snake Healer. I didn't know you guys knew Snake Healer. I play him a lot on my show. He is I haven't gotten to sit down and interview him personally yet, but from what I see him do and how he promotes himself and what he does, he seems like a very interesting fellow.
Yeah, he's amazing. He works in the cemetery.
Does he really? That's
amazing.
Listen,
He's a great friend. We really value friends like that because he's a creative person, man. He's such a forward-thinking guy. He's ambitious. He's diligent. He's very, very nice. You know, and typically when you meet talented people and they're just like the nicest people in the world, it's because they're confident in themselves and they have a self-esteem and they know their abilities and they have no reason to be mean. And you know, it's the people that have, you know, a little bit of insecurity with where they're at that typically have the character defects kind of spiraling out of control. I don't want to be too harsh on them, but you know, like the answer to that is just to put in the legwork and practice. You know, my degree is in jazz guitar. I went into school with no jazz background. I had to work my ass off to learn how to play the guitar on that level. And I know I'm pretty decent. I'm probably realistically in like the top 1% of players in the world, but within that top 1%, there are guys that are absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not trying to, I mean, yeah, I can say that I'm trying to be the best in the world, but like it's sort of shoot for the stars, land on the moon situation. And as long as I can express the really like the feelings, the emotions and the concepts and, you know, lore or whatever we're trying to communicate, the experience through the music, then I'm doing my job and I'll take that as a win. But we don't think that we're better than or worse than anybody else. It's so subjective.
I think that's a good attitude to have, especially in music, because the music scene, like it is, you know, you find a lot of humble guys like yourselves, and I respect the hell out of you guys just because of that kind of attitude is the right attitude to have. sometimes you'll run into the guys where it's just like, we're the best, you know, we don't care what anybody's opinion is. And that's it. From like, even before they even put anything out yet, it's we're the best. This is our attitude. We have an attitude of way far ahead from where we are right now. And it's usually not fun people to talk to, but you know, so far, you know, you guys definitely have, like, you know, I feel like you guys are doing everything right. I feel the guys got the right attitude about things. I feel like you're on the right path with the music. So let's talk about the music. So you guys have an album coming out. You guys have 2 singles out right now from your upcoming album. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the names. Let's talk about what went into these tracks, and let's talk about the new album that's going to be coming out.
Okay, awesome. I'll go first, then Bugsy can join in. Just real quick, the album is going to be called A Beginner's Guide to Curses and Maledictions. We try to have so much fun with it. Like, you know, I've got a pagan background, a long one, and you know, we kind of wrote some black magic into the lyrics, but we also have lore that we wrote into it. You know, what the Worldeater is, you know, a celestial massive entity that was summoned down to earth through some dark wizardry. It was too big to, you know, like be on earth as its normal form, so it split into a pack of wolves that's like now inhabiting certain areas, gaining followers, collecting souls, stuff like that. And we'd like to really develop that story into something neat, but we started it in A Beginner's Guide to Curses and Maledictions. And that record, it sounds like black and roll, like black metal, death metal, doom metal, with like classic rock tendencies, but that's something that Bugsy said. It's got classic rock tendencies. So like flashy guitars, a little Van Halen in there, you know, a little, not too much showboating, but you know, we show off our chops. And like you were saying, we have all of these different sounds that are our influences, you know, like really what it comes down to is like, I'm listening to a song and I'm like, oh, let me see if I can try to play that. And I can't. So I like play something similar and I just develop that riff. And we'll write a song about it. Bugsy will come up with something filthy, and that's just the way that it goes. So as you're talking about our progression, I think that we have all of the pieces and these different sounds, and we're able to execute them really well. And this next record, it's becoming a little bit more avant-garde, depressive black metal, with like progressive changes and a lot of weird, you know, like we listened to a lot of Portal this year, so we have a lot of Portal stuff going on.
Okay.
I would say just about every day I was listening to him for 7 months straight.
Yeah, we really like that new Portal record where there's like actually, you know, it's mixed and mastered and EQ'd where you can hear what's going on, and the Arcanist's voice sounds fantastic. I would love to see that band. I doubt they're ever going to come down here, but who knows?
There's so many bands that I want to see that it's starting to look like I'm going to have to pony up money to get a plane ticket and go over to like Norway or over that way just to see them, because they never want to. It's always the case. All the bands that I really love are over in Europe, and I have to go over there. There's so much shit going on in Europe that I don't want to go over to Europe right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm right there with you.
It's looking like it's going to be, how much do I want to see Harakiri for the Sky?
Yeah.
It's looking like that.
I want to see Murica. I'll go when Murica plays a black metal set again.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind the folky stuff too, but I could really use a little bit of that in my life. Maybe hit a Midgard's Blot at some point. Who knows? Maybe we'll get to play them one day. That would be pretty cool.
Hey man,
yeah.
Never say never. It might actually happen. Mr. Bugsy, I would like to go over to you. I feel like you've said plenty, but I feel like we could get more out of you today.
I'm the quiet guy.
That's fine. From what I've learned, most bass players are. What kind of bass do you play? Are you like a 4-string, a 5-string kind of guy?
I'm a 4-string kind of guy because my fingers aren't huge. So as much as I want to play a 5-string, a 4-string I just rather dominate the 4-string and, you know, just be as good as the other player.
Gotcha.
I'm
When
playing a Jackson right now. It's like they call it a Jackson Bacher. I'm a
Gotcha.
huge Rickenbacker fan because of Lemmy and Alice Cisneros of Sleep. So that's as close as I could get to a Rickenbacker.
Nice. I play bass myself, so I always like shooting the shit with the bass players and, you know, kind of seeing where they draw a lot of their influences. The fact that you say, you know, Lemmy, all that kind of stuff, that's awesome. I love that shit. Do your play style, do you try to be, how do I say this? Do you try to be like super creative and like all over the place, or do you try to be a little bit just like standard, like, you know, rhythm and, you know, not too nutso all over the place while playing?
I'd say both of those because
Yeah.
there'll be times where I'll pull back and I'll just play a rhythm. And then there'll be times where I'm throwing in fills. A lot of people don't realize it. I know like Alex will realize it, but I'll just throw in these different little fills just to kind of give it some different dynamics in the song, you know. And since we're a 3-piece, I do try to play like a rhythm guitar part and a bass part at the same time.
Gotcha.
Like
Do
our
does that mean that we can maybe, like, you know, you like to do either or, maybe can we expect a nice little bass solo in any of the songs coming in the new album?
there is one song that I guess the beginning with is kind of like a bass solo in a way.
Gotcha.
So we
Love to
got
hear it.
that. But we're working like I'm working more on learning some different techniques. I don't come from like a musical background as far as like going to school. I just learned from ear and watching different people on YouTube and see, trying to copy mostly Matt Pike. I'm a huge Sleep and High on Fire fan.
Yeah.
So
That's, I can relate a lot because that's how I did it too. I just kind of, my cousin had like an old beat up bass that he took it's like a Fender jazz bass neck and a P bass body that he Frankenstein together, made a 4-string and ripped all the frets off of it and made it a fretless. So I really don't know where my fingers are. It's just all been by ear.
yeah.
And Jerry Only and Lemmy Kilmister have been like huge influences of mine. So it's kind of like a lot of like punk and hard rock and like I would say like lighter metal, like Steve Harris and like that kind of stuff, big influences on me. And that's what I like to play mainly. But that's what's up, man. I always like shooting the shit with the bass player and seeing, like, you know, where they are, what their influences are, what they use. Cause
See,
it gives,
my influences are so far out there. I'll listen to one day I'll be listening to some death metal, the next day it could be Tupac, you know. So I have like all
nice.
this different influences going into how I want to play.
Gotcha. So going back into the new album, we have we've talked about it a lot. We have 2 new tracks that you guys have released off of it. We've already mentioned the one, Tainted Pit. What was the other one you guys released before Tainted Pit?
Dying Breed.
Dying Breed.
It's
Okay.
it's the first song off the record. It's a pretty good introduction to our band. And it's not the best song on the record. And we just wanted to see, it's like a pretty good song. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite song, but it's got some fun parts, and I have a really kick-ass solo that I love playing at the end. And even though I kind of messed it up a little bit last night.
Me too.
You know, we're not flawless players. We're all 3 of us are doing vocals at the same time, so we have a lot going on up there. I can't even use a pedal board, just because how much stuff do you expect me to do at once?
Right.
But yeah, man, the song Dying Breed is kind of like this record kind of has like a empowerment message to it. You know, I don't want to get into politics. We keep our politics separate from the band. We do have our pretty strong, you know, political beliefs and ideologies, but at the end of the day, we kind of want to have some sort of positive influence on the world. And I don't think that this whole, division by groups thing that we see going on is helping at all. So we want to empower people to use their brains, to think for themselves, to, not necessarily be easily influenced by anything that sounds good without, using their brains and critical thinking. So even though we have like a lot of fun, nerdy stuff in this record, like a million different allusions to all sorts of animes and like superheroes and comic books and, different spells that like medieval history and all sorts of stuff like that, Star Wars. It's riddled with like fun little stuff like that in the lyrics, mythology, but at the same time, we do have like a pretty, I don't want to say it's like direct necessarily, but it does become direct at the end of the record. And we have a message that we got something to say, and we like that people are listening to it. Now, let me just interject a question, because our marketing guys at Dropout Media have opinions on this. I don't know if you know Matt Bacon, but he's up there by you.
Okay.
They're awesome. They've been helping us out, making some of these right decisions. Wesley, Matt are great, but Michael Graves or Danzig?
Michael Graves, all the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
Look,
I'm a
I'm not-
Danzig fan.
I'm both, but listen, as long as we can all agree, no to Jerry, stay on bass guitar, we're good.
Yeah.
Anybody that comes to me and said, like, if you said Michael Graves, Glenn Danzig, and I said Jerry only, I wouldn't blame you if you just turned off and left the interview.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
At all. Wouldn't blame you. Look, I love Glenn Danzig. Glenn Danzig was the punk era that really started Misfits, that got it to where it needed to go. Jerry fucked it all up because Glenn wanted to go off and do some other stuff. And I don't know. I just always say Jerry just fucks everything up because he just is impulsive, and that's just what he has to do. Michael was where they needed to be, man. Michael really made the Misfits, in my opinion. Really kind of took it to the next level as a vocalist. That Famous Monsters and everything in that era was just perfect. It really was. If he just didn't get involved with the Dr. Chud business and everything else, they'd be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
They really would have just been fine. With the Misfits reunited thing that's been going around for a little bit, where it's Danzig, it's the original Misfits, I really wish that they would get Michael back on. They don't have to get Chud. I know there's that history there, but I really wish that, before they all call it quits, that they could get Michael Graves back in there, Jerry and Doyle, pick up a drummer, whoever they're using, I don't know, and just go around, do a couple shows. It'd be really or just do a couple shows in Jersey. Who knows? I feel like it would really be cool.
Get both of them on there at the same time. Now, this is a controversial opinion to some, but American Psycho is the best punk rock of all time, best punk rock album of all time, in my opinion.
Okay. Of all time. I mean,
all time.
American Psycho is great. I love American Psycho. I also love, like, I love my Rancid a lot.
Sure.
I love a lot of that stuff. Yeah. It's hard to say of all time for me. But I love the Misfits a lot, that I would have to just at this moment in time say that it's a close, maybe not of all time for me. I think it's a close tie between Rancid and the Misfits up there. I can't say just definitively that it's one versus the other to me, but American Psycho is definitely up there. I love me my Misfits, man. I can't say no to them at all.
Yeah, I'm more of a Black Flag guy. My War, I feel, is the best punk band or punk album that was ever made.
This interview literally just turned into the war of the internet right now. We're going to have so many angry comments on this one interview. It's going to be great. I can't wait for it.
That's coming from like a sludge standpoint, because that's like, to me, the most sludgiest album like the Godfathers of sludge with that album.
Yeah.
So my War is my favorite punk album.
Yeah. Black Flag's really a good, great band
They're
too. I
awesome.
mean, like
Yeah,
it's
man.
it's the thing, man. It's like, who do you love more? Do you love Black Flag, Rancid, Misfits? Who did punk better? I don't know, man. I just
Some people say Crass, some people say X. You know, I've heard some serious opinions, but you know, American Psycho does it for me.
Yep.
And you know,
American Psycho's there.
Henry Rollins is great.
I
Though.
could even go with like the Circle Jerks. I love those guys too.
Yep. It just it's some good stuff. Getting back
Yeah,
to
that's for sure.
getting back to the main topics here before you get me sidetracked before I can ever return. We were talking about the music you guys were the two singles that you guys put out. It was Tainted Pit
And Dying Breed.
and Dying Breed. And I had something posed before you sidetracked me on Michael Graves or Glenn Danzig. I had it right there too. I should have wrote it down before. I didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't know I was going to be the getting interviewed real quick.
If it's your favorite band, for our own edification, you know, we got to see where if you're a punk rocker, this
where
has
do you
been
stand?
Yeah, this has been a conversation we've been having for like months now, and we are at a gridlock, and you just tipped the scales in my favor. But
Yeah.
if you want to talk about our singles, we're gonna have the new record coming out, and I think we're gonna be releasing at least a single on streaming platforms on that day. That way, there's something that people that don't want to, you know, do the Bandcamp thing, they can get to. We haven't fully decided, or even though we're talking about which ones. So we're not going to announce it, but let's say on the 20th, if you guys want to check back in with us, there might be a song.
Okay. And I remembered what it was I was going to say before we got sidetracked on who the best punk band is of all time, which if you're going to be tuned into this, or if you're going to be watching this on the YouTube or maybe on SoundCloud, wherever you're going to be listening to this from, go in the comments. Who's the best punk rock band? Is it Black Flag? Is it the Misfits? Or is it Rancid? And why is it the Misfits? So anyway, I know exactly what it was that I was going to ask you, or I was going to say in general. You were talking about how you like to have a message. There's an underlying message, a theme in what you guys are writing. And what I was going to say is there's not enough of that, I feel, in at least in today's mainstream music world. You have a lot of people have gone full send into, well, whatever's catchy, you know, whatever is something somebody can listen to that's not going to make them sit and think too hard, or not going to make them, you know, not going to upset or ruffle too many people's feathers, is going to be, you know, that's usually the best thing that sells. And this is, you know, this is why I hate Taylor Swift music so much and all of her fans. I'm sorry if maybe you guys are one or know somebody who is.
Yeah. I'm a big Taylor guy. I'm
not even sorry
kidding.
About that, dude.
Yeah, it's all right. I totally get it, but that's what I have to listen to when I'm done playing shows. I got to listen to funny girl music. You know, I'll bust out the Gwen Stefani. You know, just something to change it up. If I still feel like metal, it'll probably be like Nightwish or something. You know, cheesy.
Good. But something that I just don't like in a lot of, like, you know, modern music is it's the hollowness of it all. There's not a whole lot of any kind of insightful or meaningful anything. It's not trying to tell you anything. You're not leaving it with anything, you know, that you're just kind of leaving it with the same kind of nothingness that you went into it with. And it might just be like, you know, that's my taste. That's my opinion. Of course, you know, some prick on the internet, I say it all the time. I feel like there's times and there's, you know, a discussion to be had on music that is just fun and catchy and something somebody can go and listen to, or just something to somebody, you know, maybe after super seriousness can unwind to. Totally get it. But when that is pushed to the forefront, and that is the mainstream is just catchy, that has no real kind of meaning or no kind of insightful insightful thing to say that's going to make you really sit back and wonder or question or anything. I feel like you're doing a lot of people a disservice. It's cool to like, go listen to like, maybe some thrash bands or some punk bands or even, some metal bands even that have like, those kind of, this is just a whatever kind of song that we put together that sounded badass. Cool. But like you guys are saying, you have an underlying theme with what you guys are writing that you want people to kind of get after it's all said and done. I respect that, simply because I feel like there's not enough bands who are trying to do that, because I feel like a lot of bands overall in the scene are trying a little bit too hard to play by the scene, by at least the mainstream's rules on how it is that they're going to get noticed or get big or get whatever. I feel like if you do what you're doing, yeah, maybe your message might ruffle a few feathers, but at the same time, Rage Against the Machine ruffled a couple feathers, with a lot of their music. There's been a lot of bands throughout time that have come out with messages that maybe some people didn't like, but maybe some people sat back and thought of, what is it that I'm listening to? What is it that this song's trying to tell me, or that this artist is trying to tell me? And then you come out of that with, you think about it and maybe it improves maybe your way of thinking. Maybe it's right along the lines of your way of thinking, or it gives you a perspective that maybe you didn't know before. But in my humble opinion, I think that having a message in whatever it is you're writing, I feel like that is what, at the end of the day, makes it art,
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanna jump in, and then I'm gonna let Bugsy jump in. And I want to go first, really, because I was taking dabs before the show and I don't want to forget. So
no worries, dude.
So if we're being brutally honest, okay. So first things first, the all ages shows that we play down here are our favorites. And the reason for that is because, well, first of all, when they go to a show, they all go to a show. So they're packed shows. They're jam packed, like 300, 16 to 18-year-olds will show up. And we love it because they bring serious energy. And, our generation, we thought that we could throw down in the pit, but these kids come to throw down. And I'll explain to you this is my theory on why that happens, because this generation of kids that are in school right now were raised on their iPads since childhood, early childhood, which is fake, right? Doesn't matter what we think, the internet is fake. We love it. It's addictive. We're stuck on it. But at the end of the day, we have to admit the truth of the situation is this total bullshit. Then they had to wear masks for 2 years at school, everywhere, in developmental age, So what we see is that they've been exposed to such nonsense and like just social engineering and like really sinister stuff that isn't their fault. That it's not their fault that they're influenced from a young age from a screen, but they're thirsty, and we can see it in their eyes at shows that they're like just reaching for something real, tangible, which is why they'll show up just to get their asses kicked in the pit and then be posting all sorts of like extremely proud broken nose and stitch in hospital and broken arm pictures on the internet. Wow, I got my ass kicked because like it's about as real as it gets there. Right. We're getting really, really, it's flattering, and we're super grateful to be getting messages that say like, wow, that was an experience, because that's
angry
really...
parent emails coming too.
Yeah. I mean, we love the parents, and we really respect kids, and we can't stand anybody that takes advantage of somebody else, especially if they're vulnerable like that at influential ages. So with all due respect to the parents, like they are going there to purposely like get wrecked in the mosh pit, which kind of they're going really, really hard, and we understand why. So like yeah, we want to be able to influence them in a positive way and give them an experience that shows them reality from a different perspective. And you know what, you said what art is, and this is subjective to a degree, but there is a definitive definition for art and a root word, and the root word is artificial. Because what art is academically is somebody experiencing something, then recreating an artificial experience of their experience in order to pass that on to somebody else, you know. And live music does it in the moment. And, you know, like, we try to approach what we're doing from every possible direction. And Bugsy should probably go into this, because like he'll tell you, having really good songs isn't enough anymore. So, you know, you have to have a lot more than just good music or be a good band. So Bugsy, why don't you jump in and talk about like approaching it from different angles, because you're good at that one.
I mean, yeah, I mean, metal, to me, metal nowadays is boring anyways. I don't even listen to metal anymore. Well,
Oh,
I
well,
do.
welcome to Metal for the Masses, sir.
It's
No,
more,
you're good. You're good. I'm just
it's more like avant-garde metal. It's got to be like this band, Stratosphere. It's like black metal meets elevator lounge music. I like this really weird stuff nowadays, because just growing up, I mean, my dad and I listen to metal all the time. He's the one that introduced me to metal and has been listening to it since before I was born. So I've just grew up with it, and I need something different. So I just listen to these different bands so I can bring in a totally different style of music that you wouldn't hear in metal anymore.
right.
You know, I want to just create something that's totally, that makes you say, what the fuck, like Alex would say.
There was
And
I agree with you in a lot of I agree with you with that. Like, I'm not going to say that I don't like metal. I love metal. That's why it's the whole purpose of my show here.
right.
I would agree with you that you know, very similar. It Bugsy, you and me are very similar in a lot of ways. I'm loving it. My dad also, you know, got me, you know, on this path by showing me Iron Maiden at a very vulnerable age of when I was going to develop what kind of music taste I had. And while everybody my age was growing up listening to you know, Fall Out Boy and the All American Rejects and shit, I was sitting here listening to Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath and Metallica and Megadeth and all the shit that nobody my age wanted to talk to me about. So it's understand that. And it makes you just, you know, you, not that metal is boring, but you eventually, that feeling of when you first listen to it, it gets stale. And like you said,
Yeah.
you start digging for something new or something out of the box or something that piques your interest. And I'm going to say, like you were saying about, you know, you listen to that one band that's kind of like metal meets elevator music. That kind of feeling you had that you're like, whoa, what the fuck is this? Was probably like the first time I listened to like Tango Cavalry.
Yeah.
Like it's like one of those kinds of experience. So I get that a lot. I just really just wanted to, it's blowing my mind how it feels like we're like the same person. It's just I don't have a beard.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't hate metal, or I love metal. I mean, I wouldn't be in a metal band if I hated it. I just gotta find something that makes me gives me the goosebumps again.
Yeah.
And that's what Portal did. When we first heard Portal, I was like, holy fuck. It's just different. And like our newer stuff that we're writing is going to be completely different than the album that we're doing now. And I love it. You know, I love how we can progress. We got all that room now, right now, to progress and know what we're going to be later on.
Yeah.
And just these influences, like Rex doesn't even listen to metal really. We show him a lot, but he brings in a whole different aspect as well. And it just creates this whirlwind of music for us. And that's what I love about our band.
Yeah. That goes back to, what we were talking about in the beginning, you guys having such a vast, I guess, catalog of inspirations that you pull from, that really helps you guys think outside of the box, or bring that new kind of sound that not only gives you guys the goosebumps, but gives, like, the people listening to it that whoa, what is this kind of goosebump as well. And going back to your colleague here talking about these kids being, for essentially in a very developmental age, just kind of locked up and being in a world of total conformity. I think that's been a big thing of it too. Shama, going off of what you were saying, what's always been my kind of, I don't know if this is like the correct way to put it, but it's just kind of the way that I can at least put it. Metal to me is just, music in general is liberating. There's no kind of tied down, imposed way of how to listen to it, imposed way of how to react to it. It's freedom, in, like, the best way I can put it. And I think that that's like how you were talking about these kids that you play like an all ages show. You see these kids throwing, absolute haymakers at each other in the fucking pit. That just, just to go along with what you're saying, it just feels like that might be what it is for, 2-3 years of their lives, or just in their, developmental stages. All they've known is, what they've been told, what to do, put this on, do this, don't do this or else. You go to a metal show, dude, you go in the pit, there's no rules. It's, yo, watch out, you might get hit. And if you get hit, fuck it, dude, get back up and walk it off, And that's the thing. They're not being told, hey, stop dancing around like that. Hey, stop, like, you hit that dude in the face. Why? That's just, you hit that dude in the face and he's complaining about it. Fuck that guy. He's being a pussy. Hit him again. I mean, yes, there's rules. Like, you can't have a full blown fucking brawl in the middle of the floor. I mean, that there is a certain etiquette, to a mosh pit, but you go into a mosh pit knowing, there's going to be pain, knowing there's going to be, elbows being thrown and, like, noses getting broken and black eyes being passed out, like Skittles to everybody else. But
Yeah.
a big part about being at these shows, being in those situations, is it's liberating. There's nothing else. There is you in that moment right there. Nobody telling you what to do. Nobody telling you how to act. Nobody telling you how to react to it. You just react to it. And, I think that's like how you were saying, it's like we thought we threw down. It's like, these guys lock these kids up for a couple of years, man, and put them in a pit and watch them go. It's like, see what they're going to do. They're going to fucking kill each other.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's what it is, man. I just adding on to, what you were saying. I think you were on to it, that it's a lot of it has to do with what that is, and being exposed to the freedom of a pit is, what a lot of people need. I feel like more people need to get a fucking broken nose in a pit. I feel like it'll open their eyes to a lot of shit.
Yeah, that's right where we're at, man. That's exactly where it is. And we can't wait around for somebody else to do it. I started playing guitar when I was 8 years old. I'm 38 now. I got a degree in music. Rex has his. So we have the skill set to be able to accomplish something. And we spent the majority of our lives developing that. So we are going to take it upon ourselves to do our very best to make the world a better place, one heavy riff at a time.
Hell yeah. I'm down with it, man. I fucks with it hard. Bugsy, you got anything else to add to that, or?
Yeah, all I want to do is just make sure everybody has a good time and kills each other in the pit. I love the energy.
Fuck yeah, man.
It makes me go even harder when I see that shit.
Hell yeah. There's always good times to be had, man. There's nothing like the live experience. You can sit and listen to music all day long, and there's nothing like actually being there, being in front of a local artist, being in the pit, and
Yep.
just letting the music take you, man. That's really what it's all about. But gentlemen, Worldeater, thank you guys so much for being here, man. This has been a wonderful interview, a wonderful experience. I'm super glad that we got to sit down and have this chat, man. You guys are some great guys. I've really I say that I enjoy a lot of people that I interview here. No interview's been a bad one. You guys definitely are in my top 3 so far.
Oh wow, man.
It's been a really nice time sitting down talking to you guys. I feel like you guys got the right attitude. I feel like more people need the same kind of attitude you guys have, not just in playing music, but just going through it. I hope you guys do make the world a better place, one heavy riff at a time. I feel like that's a good way of putting it. So you guys got a new album coming out. Its name is what, and it can be expected by when, and where can people find you and maybe buy some cool Worldeater swag?
All right, man. So we have a record coming out. It's called A Beginner's Guide to Curses and Maledictions. It's really, really fun record. Produced by Derek Roddy. Not a big deal. You can find us on every social media platform. Instagram is where we're most active. It's Worldeater_official. You can find us on all platforms at Linktree/Worldeater Band. We're going to have that new record up on the 20th on Bandcamp. And then probably a month or so after that, we're going to have it available for streaming. We hopefully will be able to make it all the way up the East Coast. We're setting stuff up now with the Florida death metal scene. Those guys in Three Knuckles Deep, they're friends with Obituary and Intoxicated. So they've been really, really cool to us. We're going to, move outside of our local region in a couple months and hit the rest of the state. And then we should be up there by the end of the year. So we hope to be able to catch up with you in person, dude.
Hell yeah.
We really appreciate this.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Whenever if you guys pass through the Philadelphia area, or if you guys are even, humble in New Jersey in any way, let me know. I would love to come see you guys in person, hang out, maybe throw back a few and have some good times and throw it down in the pit. But fuck yeah, man. You guys have definitely been a real treat, and everybody tuned into this or watching this after the fact or listening to it after the fact, make sure you go and support Worldeater Band. Great, humble guys here. They got great music out, and really looking forward to what these guys can come out with next. These guys are definitely not one to pass up. So with that being said, gentlemen, thank you so much for being here on the show, and to all the audience that will be listening to this, thank you so much for tuning into Metal for the Masses podcast.